we'll continue with me showing you guys a couple more tools, no, to draw. No? So what other tools can I actually use in Illustrator to start drawing? Okay. So we've covered so far selection tools, right? So you have the selection tool, direct selection tool. Underneath that, actually, you have two more tools. No? Later, we'll cover the lasso tool. What's the benefit of using that? We've covered the pen tool, right? And this one was the shortcut key. Hold down the Alt key, you get the anchor point tool. No? But there's also a separate tool that you can choose, no, in your toolbar. You also have the curvature tool. So what is the difference between the pen tool and the curvature tool is when you click on the third point, it already creates a curve. Okay. All right. So what if using the curvature tool, let's say you want this to remain straight. No? So what you do is you have to double click on that button. Double click, and then double click. Okay, so you get corners instead of curves. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. We've used the shape tools, right? Now there's actually three more tools that you can choose. On top of this three, all right, you have three more tools that can help you start drawing. All right, so you have paintbrush, you have a block brush, and you have a pencil tool. Okay, so how does this work? You click on the button here, and then you just do a click drag, and then release. Okay, and it draws the line. Right now, what's great about this is you don't necessarily have to try and figure out, no, what kind of results you will end up with, um, just like the pen tool, right? You have to figure out how the pen tool behaves before you can actually draw with the pen tool. No? Whereas a paintbrush tool behaves just like an actual paintbrush. As you draw, it creates the line for you. Okay. Same with the pencil tool, but as you drag, no, it will only create a non-printable line, just a preview of what the line would look like. Okay, and then release. When you release, that's the time it will create the path. Okay. A blob brush, it's the same thing. You can click, drag, okay, and you get this, okay. Now, if I switch to outline, guys, outline view, okay, what does it look like? Okay. So it's like a shape, no? It's not just a stroke, but it's actually a shape. This is called a closed path, okay. So that means that using my direct selection tool, I can select a particular point on that path and then adjust it. Okay, just like a regular shape. Okay, all right. Now, there's a really nice panel. You go to the window menu. There's a panel that's called brushes. There you go. All right, brushes. So whenever you have a path created, no, whether it's a shape or a line, no, using the pen tool or using a paintbrush, okay, you may select these objects and then click on any brush here. Now, so for example, this one, I'll use the denim scene. And it applies the brush style along the path. Okay, same here. I can do that. So it's across along the path, no? Or the stroke. Okay, if we're talking about the attributes, the fill and the stroke. So there. All right. Okay. So what else do we actually have here? So type tool, we'll discuss that on the last day. You have the rotate and reflect tool. Over here will it's going to be part of our exercise day. You have your eraser and scissors. Now you may not see the smooth tool, but we can make that appear later. Okay, so we'll cover the eraser and the scissors. So let's say you have a rectangular shape. Okay. Now with a rectangular shape, let's say you want to cut it in the middle. No? Using the eraser tool, you can click drag. Okay, and that's what it does. No? It creates two separate shapes. No? And automatically it created a stroke in between the two endpoints, right? Like this. Okay. If I create another shape, a rectangular shape, and use the second cutting tool, which is the scissors. Now, let's see what happens. Click. The behavior is you have to, well, at least the way you use the mouse is you just click along a line segment, okay? And then move this here, okay? It cuts through the shape, but it remains an open path. Okay, so again, these are closed paths using the eraser tool, and this is using the scissors. It creates two separate open paths. Okay. Now, if in case you want to join, no, two open paths, how do I do that? I use the direct selection tool. Click drag over the two endpoints, right click on it, and then join. Okay. Then it creates a segment in between the two endpoints to connect them. Okay. I will do the same thing over here. Click drag over the 2 points, right click on it, and then click on join. So it will create a segment between those two endpoints. Okay. Question so far? None? All
Wait,
right.
what's the difference between the pen and then the pencil?
The pen and the pencil. Okay, so they're practically the same. All right. Okay. So, hold on. Let me just change this to something else. All right. So with a brush, automatically when you draw, no, it's dependent on what's selected in the brush definition. Whereas if you use a pencil, no, when you click drag, it's just the basic one. It's as if you're creating a line. No, it's just a simple stroke. It doesn't have the thickness um, of a brush. That's the only difference. But with all three, what is tricky is that with the brushes panel, you can apply it across all three lines, no? Regardless of what tool you actually used. Long time back, probably even before you were born. Now, when Illustrator started, or better yet, maybe when you were a toddler back then. No, this panel, no, the things that you see here can only be used with a paintbrush. And then as they keep on upgrading the software, they realized that these brushes would be making this available to all types of path that you create in Illustrator would be highly beneficial to the users. Okay. But long time ago, it wasn't the case. Okay, so yeah. So whichever you're comfortable with. Okay. Another difference that I can think of is no, that's it. That's really it. Okay. So alright. This paint these three tools, no, I strongly recommend that you use them with a graphic pen. With a mouse, it's a bit difficult. It's a bit crude to try and trace something or draw something using the mouse, unless you're very comfortable with the mouse in such a way that you can draw, no, by just moving your mouse around, no. But a lot of cases, like me, for example, I'm not used to uh, using any of these tools, just using uh, the mouse, no, because it's a bit crude. I'd rather design or create something using the pen tool if I'm using my mouse. Okay, but that's a good question. All right. Any other questions, guys? Okay. So, how do I make additional tools appear on my toolbar? Right. So, I think it was in day one, if not day two, where we talked about the toolbars. You know, so here you have two options, right? Your basic and then advanced. Okay. If you have advanced open, then you should see at least 80 tools available on your toolbar. Okay, the rest are actually hidden. So you have a few added, and then there's a small triangle on the lower left hand, right side of the tool that indicates that there are hidden tools. No? So there are more tools that you can actually use. Okay, so you can play around. No? But if there are, for example, there's a specific tool that you really want to you really want to be available on your toolbar, not the entire set, but just a few of them, you may click here. No? There's three dots at the bottom of your toolbar, no? That will allow you to edit the toolbar. No? And this will have the list of all the tools available for you. Okay. Now the grayed out ones mean that they are appearing in our toolbar. Okay. They're already displayed in the toolbar. Whereas the ones that look like this means that they are not added to the toolbar yet. If you want to add something there, then you will have to let me just reset so that I get to show you guys. Okay. So you may just simply click drag. So for example, it's categorized, right? So for selecting objects, you have a couple of tools available. The only one that's missing is the magic one. No? So if you want to try that out, you can click this and then move it somewhere. So let's say I'll just put it here. Okay. And then in drawing, you have tons of tools that you can choose from, right? But in my case, I will try using the smooth tool. click drag this and then use it. I'll put it inside the eraser tool set, okay, or the cutting tool set. So I'll just put it there, okay. Then you can just click on this button again so that you can hide the manage tool window or panel, okay. So what is the magic wand for? It's pretty cool, especially if you have a lot of objects in your um, file. So let's say I have three shapes. I'll hold down shift, click on these three shapes and then choose green, click this and this. No, I'll just click this, change this to blue. This one I'll change to red. Okay. So let's say, all right. So let's say these are overlapping objects, right? And I wanna select all the green objects, no? Using the magic wand tool, all you have to do is select one object and it selects the rest of the objects that has the same attribute, okay, which is green. No? So now, instead of just clicking, holding down shift, and then clicking on all the similar objects, no, manually or individually, I can just do that. Use the magic wand tool and then click on one object. It selects all the objects that are similar. Okay, so that's what the magic wand is for. Okay. The other tool that I actually added in my toolbar, okay, is, for example, I created a shape. uh, Okay, like this. All right. So I created the shape like this. And then I want to smoothen this area. Okay. So I can use the click on the smooth tool and then click drag it to try and smoothen the path like this. Okay. So it's a click drag motion. So it tries to simplify the segment. Okay. Hold on. Sorry. I have to open my Chrome. Sana nalagyan ng ano yung alambre. Bulutan ka? Bago lang. Okay. Sorry. My daughter just arrived. Okay. All right. So again, you have these three buttons here that allows you to select additional tools that you may want easy access to. Okay. All right. Okay. Questions so far? None? Okay. So let me um, open this one. Okay. So our exercise now. So we'll start off with rotate and reflect. Okay. So it's two parts. No. We will create a flower and then we're gonna trace the Coke bottle. Okay. But we're not just gonna trace this one, but also going to use the reflect tool. Okay. All right. So we'll talk about this set of tools. No? So I'll do a quick demonstration and also introduce you to a command that's called transform again. Okay. All right. So if I have a shape, no, right, you right click on it. No, you have this transform command. Okay. So how do you transform a shape? No? So what are the different ways of transforming a shape? So based on the command, you have move, rotate, reflect, scale, and shear. Okay. Move, rotate, reflect, scale, and shear. So you have 5, right? And then you also have a transform again. That transform again means that it is going to apply the last transform command that we have done. Replicate that action on the selected object. Okay. So in terms of moving, so far what we have done is just simply use the selection tool and then move it around, no, using the bounding box, right? So you may also move it using the context menu, go to transform and then move, okay? And then click on preview. You may identify, um, horizontal values, how it's going to move horizontally, and then how it's going to move vertically. Okay, all right. So that's also another way of moving. Okay, all right. Now, in terms of rotate, if you click on rotate while you have an object selected, the point of rotation is here, not by default. Okay, so what you do is click, drag, and it rotates in place. Okay, but you may also, using the rotate tool, you may click somewhere here and then look what happens. It will rotate around the new reference point. It's the blue crosshair. Okay, you may click here and it will rotate the object around that new point. Okay, so what's important to remember here is when it comes to the rotate tool, no, make sure that you have that blue crosshair in the right place, no, where you want to rotate the object around. Okay, as compared to just simply using the selection tool, right? You go to one corner and then rotate it because that basically just rotates it in place. Okay, but here it's the function of rotate is more flexible. Okay, you may rotate it with more flexibility. Okay, okay. So with the selection tool, you may also use the bounding box to resize, right? So you also have the scale tool that also does that, but with more flexibility. Okay, you may click here and then try to rotate. See, it somehow holds that point, no? It also has that crosshair. Okay, it's almost skewing the object. Okay, reflect is just like a mirror reflection, no? So you click on a reference point using that crosshair, and then it would you click drag the object and it creates or reflects the object, no, based on the reference point. Okay, shear skews your object based on where your reference point is. Okay, so you click drag. Okay, all right. Now we move to transform again. Okay, so transform again does this. So I'll do the actual demonstration. So we'll create this flower. So first I'll create a circle in the middle. No, I'll use my eyedropper tool, click here, and then create the petal. You can get more creative with the petals if you want to, but for the purpose of demonstration, I'll just create an oblong. Okay. Now, I'll use my rotate tool because I want to create copies of the petal. No? I'll click here in the middle. This is going to be my reference point for the rotation. Hold down Alt. Remember, if I hold down Alt, it creates a duplicate as you drag. Okay. Hold down Alt, you look at the cursor. You have two arrows there. It means that it's going to create a copy. So click drag, release the mouse first before releasing the shortcut key. Okay. Now, when I do that, where is my selection? Is it the original shape or the copy, the duplicate petal? It's on the duplicate, right? Then I do a transform again. So right click on it and then transform, transform again. Okay, or do the control D. So take note, control D. Okay, so I'll hit that and that's what it does. No? Now the selection is on the third object. I use the shortcut key, control D, control D, control D, control D, up to this point. Now I have my flower. Okay. So again, the transform again command replicates the last transform action. Okay, on the selected object. Okay. All right. Now, on the second exercise or the second part of this exercise is using the reflect tool. You won't use the transform again, but instead you'll use the just the reflect tool and then create a single object by merging the two objects. Okay, so first is you'll have to trace the bottle. Okay, you may either use any of uh, any of these two tools, or you may want to use the pen tool, whichever you're comfortable. I don't mind. So, but in my case, I'll use the pen tool. So I'll click here, click drag a bit to create a curve, click here, go, and then close it. All right, move it on the side. Now we'll use the reflect tool. Okay, so while I have this half bottle selected, click on the reflect tool. I'll click first to create that reference point. Okay, somewhere here. Hold down Alt, click drag. All right, and there you go. Now I'll just move it a bit to the left using my arrow keys. All right, and that's what you get. Okay, I want this to become a single object. So what tool do I use? I will use what we have learned last Saturday, which is using the shape builder tool. So I click drag to make it a single shape. No? If I zoom in somewhere here, click, okay. You may want to try and smoothen this further. Then you can use the smooth tool like this. Okay. You can scroll up using your mouse and then click drag to try and smoothen it like this. Okay. Any questions so far, guys?
No.
No? Okay, good. So please try to do that. Please try to complete that exercise. I'll give you guys 10 minutes for that exercise. And then once you're done, kindly share your screen. Okay, good. Good job. Good job. Do you have any questions, Noel?
No.
No. Pretty easy, no? Okay, good. Okay, cool. All right. Do you guys have any questions before we move to the next exercise?
No.
No.
Okay, good. So let me share my Illustrator. Okay. So the next um, feature that we're going to discuss is the envelope distort. Okay, so we're going to create a flag. Whatever flag, you don't need to get restricted to the Philippine flag. But whatever flag that you want to create, feel free to do that. And then we're going to apply the envelope distort. Okay. Now, let me just move to a blank canvas here. Okay. So, I will demonstrate how that works. Okay. So, let's say I have, it's better if I use text. So, I'll click on type tool and then just type on a blank space, type my name. All right. Okay. So with this text, no, I can go to the object menu, all right, and then envelope distort. Okay. Now, we have three options for envelope distort or applying envelope distort on an object. You have make with warp, make with mesh, and make with top object. Okay. So let's do the first one, make with warp. And that's how it looks like. It's like creating a mold and then the text will try and follow that mold. Now, when you choose make with warp, this window appears. Okay. Then you have different styles that you can choose from. Okay. You have arc, arc lower, all right, arc upper, you have bulge, all right, flag. And this is actually what you're going to use later. And then you have fish. Okay. And you have a couple of sliders here that would allow you to further manipulate how it actually looks like. Okay. And then once you click OK, then it applies it. Okay. So cats, can you still edit the text? Let's say I want to change cats to Manu. Double click, all right, and then you'll notice this, no? There's like an added bar on top of your document frame. So that means you're inside the envelope, okay? And when you're inside the envelope, then you can edit whatever is inside, okay? Click on the arrow here. If not, you can hit the escape button on your keyboard, okay? And that's what you get. Okay. Now, does it work with just text alone? No, you can actually create a shape, whatever shape you may want to distort. Like, for example, this ellipse shape. Go to Object, Envelope Distort, and then Make with Warp. Right? There you go. And then click OK. Now, cats, what if I want to undo it? Okay. What if I want to just go back to the basic shape? No? I can select, all right, I can select the envelope distorted object, and then go to object, and then envelope distort, and then release. Okay. And it separates the text and the envelope, no, or the mold. Okay. So same here, we can do that. You also have go back to object and then envelope distort and then release. No? So again, it separates the two shapes. Okay. Let me just undo. All right. Okay. So when you have an envelope warped object, this one, all right, notice your control bar updates now, and it will tell you what kind of object you actually have selected. Now, you see the style here. It's the ones that you actually see in the warp options when you go to the object menu. Okay, so what happens if we click on art? So it changes the style. Okay, there you go. And the sliders that we were seeing in the warp options, you may also see it here. There you go. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? No? Okay. All right. So let's try the second one. No? So what is the second option for envelope to start? There is make with mesh. I click that, and this is the window that will appear. Okay. So you may identify the number of rows and the number of columns. It's like it's going to create a net on top of the selected object. In my case, it's text. So I'll just retain it. I'll click on preview and see what happens. Okay. Click on OK. All right. And you get this mesh, no, on top of the word man. You may use the direct selection tool and then click drag on a point, no, to get that liquefy effect like this. All right. Now with this object selected, no, look at your control bar. You may have this button click reset envelope shape, and it goes back to the first time that you have applied an envelope mesh. Okay, you may modify the number of columns and the number of rows, okay, depending on what you want to achieve. And again, select on a point and click drag. No, it behaves the same way as you create a path, right? You manipulate the points and not the line segment. There we go. Okay. All right. Now the third option that we have is make with top object. So let me just clear this out and then just type a new word here for demonstration. Okay, so let's say I have this text, okay, and then I create a circle shape, no? So the third option for envelope to start says make with top object. So that means that you'll have to create an object or a shape and place it on top of what you want to modify. Select both objects, go to object, and then envelope distort, and then make with top object. And there you have it. So it stretches and tries to follow the mold that's on top of the text. Okay. So it also applies for shapes, guys. So let's say you have a star. Okay, and then you create a very uneven shape. Select both, go to object, and then envelope distort, make with top object. And there you have it. Okay, all right. Question so far?
What if the shape on top is smaller than the shape on the bottom?
Okay, so let's try that. And let's see what happens. Object, envelope distort, make with top. There. It will try and fit in.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Very useful, guys. For example, you create a heart. For example, you have a heart. Okay. I'll create two copies of it. No? Alright. And then what I'll do is try and cut this somewhere here. Alright. And then you can add text. A couple of cool techniques now that you can use with envelope display. Put this on top. Right click, arrange, bring to front. Select both objects, go object, and then envelope distort, make with top object. Then you have that. Then you can put it here. So let's change the color of the heart, change the color of the text to white, and then for cats, you can resize this a bit smaller. Put this again on top. Select both object, envelope distort, and then make with top object. And then move it here. Again, you can change the color of the font to white, and there you go. So I think this is something that you actually see outside, right? In bulletin boards, posters, even in social media, where they try to follow the shape. You have like text following the shape, right? So that's how they normally do it if they're using Illustrator. Okay, all right. Okay. So for your exercise, guys, you will have to create a flat 2D flag first, and then make it look like it's waving by applying the envelope distort. So what I do, just a quick demonstration, I'll create um, this shape, change the color to blue, no? And then click drag, move it down, creating a copy by holding down the Alt key, change that to red. Use my pen tool to create a white triangle on the side. Okay, and there you go. It's too long. Let me try and move it to the left using my arrow keys. And selecting the points at that on that side. There you go. Okay. And then I'll create 3 stars. We already have a shape tool for that. So it's the star tool. I'll create 3 stars. Or even better yet, I'll just hold down Alt drag. Okay. By the way, you need to change that to yellow. So I have those three stars there. Then for the sun, I do this, zoom in, use my hand tool to navigate. Then I'll create a circle first. Use my pen tool to create the rays like this. All right. Move this here. Okay, there you go. And since I already have this, I just need to replicate. So remember what we did with the flower. We'll use the rotate tool, click somewhere in the middle, hold down Alt, click, sorry, it didn't select everything. So let me reselect it, select this, click on the rotate tool, click on the middle, click drag, and then just transform again. Okay, and then just make some minor adjustments. Okay. Once you're happy with it, I would strongly suggest you group it, resize it a bit, small, this. All right. Select everything. I want them to move around as a group, so I'll do that. Then, while the flag is selected, go to my object menu, envelope to start, and then make with warp, and then all I have to do is switch to flag. And that's it. So you can just adjust the bend if necessary, how it's distorted horizontally and vertically. And then click OK. And you're done. Okay. You mean the rays? Right. Okay. Okay. So you start with the ellipse shape. Okay, good. There you go. And then could you zoom in? All right. And then use the pen tool. Just create one set of rays. Okay. I think you're shifting to, you might be, keeps pressing, you might be pressing Z. That's for zoom tool. That's why your cursor changes. All right, so let me try and help you out with that. I'm gonna request control from you. Just accept it. Is it working now? Hold on. Okay, I'm controlling. Okay, hold on. When you draw, Claire, it's better because you're actually on top of another object. You might accidentally move them. So, hold on. I suggest you do it outside the flag first. like this, okay? And then click the pen tool, click, click, up, down, something like this. There you go. And then once you have this, no, select, use the rotate tool, same as what we've done with the flower, and then hold down Alt or Option if you're using a Mac, click, drag, release your mouse first before releasing the key on your keyboard. Okay. All right. So let me give up my control so you can try that yourself. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. We're gonna focus on blends. Okay, blended objects. Okay. I'm gonna add a couple of really nice links that you can actually try to watch and try it yourself. No, not required, but something that you can continue learning throughout the week. Okay, so just expect that I'll be sending you guys 3 links in the stream. Okay, so blended objects. So how do we blend? So before I demonstrate this, let me move and use a different shape. Okay, so let's have 2 shapes here. Okay. I'll change this to red. Remove the stroke now. While I have the stroke on top, I'll just click here and then select this object, remove the stroke, change this to yellow. Okay. Now there are 2 ways of blending objects. Okay. One is using the tool over here. The other is you have to select the objects that you want to blend. So at least you need to have at least 2 objects selected, okay, to be able to use the blend command. So select both objects and then you go to object and then there's blend also here. Okay, you achieve the same results. Okay, so whichever you're comfortable with, I would assume that you'd want to use the blend tool instead because it's already there. It's easier to access. Okay, now I have 2 objects which have different colors, right? So I can click on the blend tool, click here, and there you go. Now it blends the colors of those 2 objects, even the shape. But in my case, I actually created similar shapes. No, just apply 2 different colors. Okay, so it blends. Now there's also, let's say I have a different shape for the second object. Okay, let's see what happens. Click on the blend tool, click here, and there you have it. Okay, cats, can I still edit those 2 individual shapes? No, yes you can. No? So I use my direct selection tool, click on one point, move it over here, okay, and it tries to follow. Okay, it tries to follow the shape. Okay, can I do the same for the ellipse shape over here? Yes. Okay, and again it tries to follow. Now there are 3 types of blends. No? So I can double click on this one, your blend tool, and you get this window. So there are the 3 types of blends would be more of the spacing. No? So you have smooth color, which is by default selected, and that's what you get, no? What I just demonstrated. You have specified steps and specified distance. What if we choose specified steps? Change this to, let's say, 5. Let's see what happens. No? So click OK, and then once again, blend those 2 objects. Okay, there you go. So it created 5 steps, no, in between the two objects, no. So from this, from the first object, it creates 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no, before it transformed to this. Okay, distance, the difference between specified steps and the third option, if I double click here, this one, which is specified distance, it's actually the distance between the object and the step. Okay, you can define the distance. Okay, if we take a look at how it's constructed in terms of paths, let's take a quick peek in terms of using the outline preview. Okay, so you don't see the steps that were created in between these two objects. Instead, the paths that are editable would be just the first and the second object. Okay, cats, what if I have a third object? Would it work? All right, so using the blend tool, click on this, click here, and it will continue creating the steps up to the third object. Okay, now when I switch back to outline, no, you'll notice that it actually created a line, now connecting the objects together. Okay, however, when I go back to the actual preview, click outside, no, you don't see that line. Okay, so it's a non-printable line, but it is still considered a path. Okay, so that means you can still edit the path. Okay, this line, this non-printable line, is called a spine, no, when it comes to blended objects. Okay, now how can what is the advantage of editing this line? Okay, so for example, this one, no, let me use my direct selection tool, click somewhere in the middle, and then stretch it out a bit. Also this one, I'll close this. Okay, so there. Now look, this is considered a corner, right? What if I want to curve it a bit? Okay, so I can use my anchor point, no, and then click drag to make the direction lines appear because they're the ones controlling the curve. So again, that line is also editable as if you're editing a path. Okay, so I can do this, all right, and you get the this result. Okay, now cats, what if I create something, a spiral? Okay, there's actually a tool here, no, that's called the spiral tool. It's under drawing. Where is that? There you go. Okay, so I'll make this appear over here. Okay, click this. All right. Click drag. I'll just apply the default colors. Oh, I'll remove the fill color. Okay, there. All right. So again, I'll select this. Now, again, this non-printable line is called a spine, right? So what if I want to change this spine to this? Okay. So what you need to do is tell Illustrator, hey Illustrator, I want to work with the blended objects over here, replace it with this spine. Okay, so select both, go to object, go back to blend, all right, and then choose replace spine. Okay, and when you do that, all right, it tries to follow the spiral that you have created. Okay, so you've lost those straight segments, no, and use this instead. Okay, then you can further edit it. So for example, you want to try and resize this or stretch it a bit. resize, make it smaller. Ah, wait, I think I stretched something. Make this smaller. Maybe I can right click on it and then just use my transform scale. Try to change this to 20%. Okay, there you go. Okay, and then maybe I can just add a stroke color, a blue one perhaps. Okay, all right, there you go. Okay, so let's see, it's not producing the results that you were expecting it to produce. Okay, so you want to undo everything. So you may release, no? The keyword there is release. So select the blended objects, go to object, and then blend, and then release. And that's what happens. Okay, so you end up with your basic shapes, the one that you originally created. No? Okay. Any questions so far?
No.
No? Okay, good. So what you guys are going to do is create a bubble. Okay, and to be able to create a bubble, we will first need to have a big ellipse shape, and then I create a smaller ellipse shape for the highlight. Okay, so this one will change it to blue. Oh, sorry, switch it over. Remove the stroke. Okay, okay. Change this to blue. This one will keep it at white, but we're gonna modify it and follow this shape. So let's zoom in and then use my direct selection tool. Click here, click drag, going upwards, rotate it using the selection tool and using the bounding box. Put it somewhere here. Okay. Now I'll introduce you to opacity. All right. So all the objects that you create, no, in Illustrator by default, it will have 100% opacity. So it means it's an opaque color, right? Now, when you select this, if you want to make it a bit translucent, right? Just like an actual bubble. Technically, it's a bit translucent. I wouldn't say it's transparent because it's still visible, right? At least the outline of it and also the highlight. It gets reflected by the light reflects on the bubble, right? So those are normally what you see in a bubble, okay? So we will select the object and then if you want to make it a bit transparent, on your control bar, you would see this, no? Opacity, okay? You have different types of blending modes, but we won't discuss that. But we'll change the percentage of opacity. So let's change it to, let's say, 42%. Okay, you can play around with the values, no, if you want to. So 42, actually 43%. Okay, so 43%. And then what we need to do is click on the blend tool, click here, and then click here, and it blends, no? Does it look like this? No, right? Why? Why is that so? Because, let me just undo this, no? Control or Command Z, double click here, make sure that instead of specified steps, you choose smooth color. Okay? Click OK, click here, and then click here, and then there you have it. Okay? There's your bubble. Okay. And what's great about this, because we made it translucent, right? We've set it to 43% opacity. If let's say you created a tree, no, and you want this on top of the tree, no, see how it looks like, no. So you get to see a bit of the, the tree, and that's what you would want to achieve when it comes to creating the bubbles, at least for the purpose of this exercise. Okay, all right. Any questions so far?
No.
No? Okay, good. So you may proceed with this exercise. Okay, good job, Noel. Do you have any questions about this exercise?
No.
No. Okay. Very good, Claire. Okay. Any questions about the exercise, Claire?
No.
No. Okay. Good. All right. So let me share my screen. Okay, so we're done with all three except for applying effects. Okay, so with applying effects now, I added two links. Okay, so one is it's a really good comprehensive article on how to use the effects in Illustrator. The other one is the complete list of effects that are available in Illustrator. Okay, and it also indicates like what it's gonna do. Okay, so you can go through that in your own time. Okay, for the meantime, let's see. Create a new document. Okay, so where can effects be found? No? So you go to the effect menu, and it's actually categorized into two. So Illustrator effects on top, and then if you guys are using Photoshop, some of the effects that are available in Photoshop are also available in Illustrator. Okay, so when it comes to applying Illustrator effects, whether it's this set of effects or this set of effects, the key here is you have to select the object. No? So you have to tell Illustrator, hey, Illustrator, I want you to apply the effect on this object. No? So um, now, on top of knowing where the effects are, now what is gonna be critical for you to also remember is two more panels. No, so I'll introduce you to two panels. You have your appearance panel, and you also have the graphics panel. Okay, all right, okay. So in one of during the past sessions now, we talked about two attributes that an object may have. One is the stroke and one is the fill. Okay. Now so far we've always created shapes. Now, or what we've seen so far is just shapes that has a single stroke and a single fill. Okay. Now, what's great about Illustrator is that you can create multiple strokes and multiple fills to achieve a particular look. Okay. So to do that now, while you have the object selected, if you have appearance panel open, no, you may select the one of the attributes and then click on the plus sign over here. It means that it's gonna duplicate the selected item. Okay, just like this. So I'll create three strokes. So this one has three strokes applied to it and a single fill. Okay, so let's quickly demonstrate the advantage of three strokes. Okay, let me zoom in. All right. So with this, no, I can, in terms of stacking order, it also follows the same principle as when you actually draw in Illustrator, no? The one on the bottom would be the first stroke, and the one on top would be the last stroke that you actually created. All right, and that's the topmost part in terms of stacking order. So I'll go to the bottom stroke and then change this to 10. Okay, so we see that. Do we see any change at all or an indicator that there are 3 strokes? None so far, right? But let's try to change this to 5 and change the color to red. Now you get to slowly see the difference, all right? And then this one, we can change it to 2 and then change it to white, okay? So here, so this is the kind of effect that you actually get if you have multiple strokes applied to an object, okay? Now, what's great about this is because it identifies individual strokes, you may select, let's say, the bottom stroke, no, and apply an effect to it. So in terms of applying effects, you may apply it to the entire object, like so, go effect, and then let's say, let's try stylize and then scribble, okay? And then click OK. Let's not change anything here yet. Click OK. No. So you'll see the scribble effect over here in your appearance panel. See, it will show FX. So it means it's an applied effect. And it's down here. No, it's not under any stroke or fill. It's down here. It means that it applied to the entire object. Okay, if I have a different color for the fill, this is how it looks like. It applied the scribble effect on both the fill and the stroke. Okay, if you want to edit the scribble effect now, whatever effect that you have applied, just click on this button over here. Okay, and then you may change it like this. All right, and then click OK. Don't go back to the effect menu and then apply the scribble effect, okay? Because it will only apply a second instance. It's not gonna edit the existing effect that you have applied on your object, okay? Now, what if I want to remove this, no? Again, in the appearance panel, you select the effect and then click on the trash bin and it deletes it. Sorry, I have to select it first. Click here and then click on the trash bin, okay? And it goes back to its original um, object, no? With all 3 strokes intact and the fill intact. Solid colors, all solid colors. Okay, now, what if I select on 1 stroke and then apply the scribble effect? And that's how it's gonna look like. So it only apply the effect on that particular stroke, nowhere else. Okay. Do I see the word scribble here? No, right? But you will see these arrows. You can expand them. Okay. And on the first stroke, no, you will see the word scribble. So it looks like a sublayer of the stroke. So it means that this is the only part that you can apply the scribble effect on. Okay. Now, normally one of the common effects that you would use when it comes to Illustrator is the drop shadow. So the drop shadow, you go to Effect, Stylize, and you have your drop shadow here. So you have drop shadow, feather, inner glow, outer glow, round corners, and also scribble. You can play around with this, guys. You can try and explore what kind of effects you actually have. And the thing is, no, when you select an object, apply, let's say, scribble, no, you save the file, and the following day, you just realize that you want to go back to its neat natural form. You want to take out the effect. you can always go back to the appearance panel and then altogether just remove it. So either remove or edit it, it's there. No, so you can do that anytime. Even if you try to open the same file next year, no, and you decide to remove or edit the effect that was applied, you can do that. No, it's not restricted to the undos, no, that you are able to do based on the memory of your computer. Okay, so anytime, no, that's what you call live effect. It means that anytime you can go back to it, even if you've saved it, closed it, opened it again, no, you can still undo that action. Okay, that's the advantage of that. Okay, any questions so far? None? Okay. So let's say I do this, no? So I select the first stroke, apply scribble there. Second stroke, I'll apply another scribble, but in a different manner. There you go. Click OK. Click the third stroke, apply scribble, but in a different way, or maybe just change, yeah, there. Change the angle. Okay, so it displays the opposite. You may also create multiple fills. No? So let's change this. There are pattern swatches, no? Such as this, that you can actually use. Oh, hold on. Let me click this. Change this to this one. No? Add another fill. Change this to, let's say, a solid color, just like this. Add another fill. Change this to say blue, but this one I'll apply another effect, a scribble effect, just like this, and you get this effect. Okay, now let's pretend that it took you like a couple of minutes, if not hours, no, to come up with something like this. No? You can save the set of settings, the actions that you have applied here, and apply it on a different shape or a different object. And to do that, guys, it's very simple. That's where your graphic styles come in. Okay, you click drag this over here, you get this plus sign in your cursor. No, it will display a plus sign. You can delete this. Okay, delete this. Okay, and then let's say you create a star shape. All right, and then you want to apply the same set of actions. Instead of recreating it, no, you may just simply go to your graphic styles and then click here. And it applies the same effects, colors, no, onto the object that you just created. Okay, so that's what's great about these two panels. All right. With graphic styles, you have a library now where you can choose a couple of presets that you may want to, apply. All right, something like this. Okay, there you go. And take a look at what happened to the appearance panel. It will practically show you how this was done. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4 fills. You have this kind of fill. You have this kind of fill. Now with opacity, a blending mode that's indifference. This one is 100% opacity. And then exclusion as the blending mode. You have this gradient, white to black, no, with 0% at exclusion blending mode. And then you have an effect that's applied to it, which is called the halftone. Okay? So if you want to learn how this kind of look is achieved in Illustrator, you may want to, take time and look at a couple of graphic styles available and figure out how it was done using the appearance panel. Okay, so bear with me. We're just gonna extend a couple more minutes. Okay. So for your exercise, guys, I've written down the instructions in the actual assignment in Google Classroom for under effects. Okay. What we want to do is uh, a billiard ball. Okay, a billiard ball. Using the 3D effect. Okay, so first is we're going to make sure that we have our symbols panel open this time, okay, and the appearance panel open, okay, and then we will create a circle. We're gonna create an 8 ball, no? A billiard ball, okay, an 8 using the type tool. Just type 8. Where's my? I let's put a stroke, a black stroke, like this. All right, because this is going to be the label of your billiard ball. No? So once you have this, so a big circle and then put a number 8 in the middle, click drag it to the symbols panel. Don't change anything yet. We'll discuss it in the next session. And then click OK. All right, so this is your assignment. Once you're done with that, you can just delete whatever is on your artboard. Okay. Next is you're going to create a perfect circle first. All right, but we will just need half of it. Okay, so what cutting tool can I use? I can use the scissor. So I'll click here, I'll click here. All right, select this part, just hit delete, and then we're left with this. All right, now all you have to do, guys, let me close this because we just need this too, is select the half circle. Okay, we are going to create a 3D ball out of it. So you go to effect, 3D, and then make sure you take revolve. Okay, and that's how it's gonna look like. Okay, so this one allows you to like rotate it. Okay, surface, make sure it's set to plastic shading just so you get this light source or reflection or highlight. But there are different surfaces that you can choose from. You can choose wireframe. That's how it's going to look like. No shading, it's going to be flat. Diffuse shading, nothing. And then plastic shading, you have a reflection somewhere here. Okay. If you want to adjust the light source, okay, you may click on more options. Okay, you can click drag it to the left, click drag it to the right. Okay. Tons of settings that you can adjust over here. You can play around with it. Okay, I'll just take fewer options so I go back to this screen. Okay, now what is missing? You need to add this label, right, on top of the shape. I can just move this shape over here, but the thing is, this is assuming a 3D object, right? So what you want to happen is your label will follow the contour or the shape of your billiard ball. Okay, and to do that, you click on Map Art. All right, and then see this. Now, this is your screen for mapping the art. So it's gonna map the art on the 3D object. Okay, so the only way that you can insert an artwork, or an art on and map it on the 3D object is through the symbols. So you have your symbol here. It's a drop-down menu. So whatever you see here, guys, is what you see in the symbols panel. That's the reason why I ask you to move the number 8 label towards the symbols panel. Okay, so that it will appear here. Okay, so I'll select the number 8, and that's how it's gonna look like. No? So it follows the contour of the ball. Once you're happy with how it is set up, now you can stretch it out if you want to. Make it smaller like this. There you go. Okay. and then click OK once you're happy. Then click OK again. All right, and it applies it. Now you see the 3D revolve effect appearing in your appearance panel. And it's actually applied to the entire object, okay? Should you want to change the label, you may click on this, no, instead of going back to the effect menu. And then just clear, change it to, let's say, the flower, for example, stretch it out like this, and then click OK. All right. Okay, so that's your assignment. Okay, I'm also going to include a really nice YouTube tutorial, no, on how to do this as well. But it used a pattern rather than an 8 ball. No? But more or less, it's the same principles that are applied. Okay, any questions, guys? None? Okay. So that officially ends our session. So happy weekend, guys, and I hope you get to try those things out. No, don't forget to upload your assignment. Okay, attach the file. All right. Thank you. Happy Saturday.
Bye.
Bye.